Two vehicles pulled up. Four individuals exited those vehicles, two from each vehicle, and began firing at the individuals that were on the sidewalk outside of one of the stores here.
Alleged members of Chicago's O-Block gang have been convicted in the 2020 a rapper known as FBG Duck. Duck's real name was Carlton Weekly. He was shot shopping on Oak Street in the Gold Coast.
Duck was loved by a lot of people. Of course, y'all know.
Convicted suspects are men between the ages of 24 and 34. All six were convicted of conspiracy to commit.
And yes, justice for Duck, and it has been served.
Hey, yo, squad, what's the drill? Back with another video, man. It seems like the craziness keeps hitting the fan when it comes to these streets of Chicago. The city was always infamous for its harsh nature, with violence being a way of life for many. But when we saw FBG Duck's homicide in 2020, when homie was shot in the Gold Coast neighborhood, it definitely hit different and left a mark on us. Sustaining injuries to the chest, groin, and neck, bro wasn't able to hold on for long, and his passing was confirmed by the folks at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. Now, gangbangers do hits on real ones pretty often, and we've seen things like this happen pretty much every day. Usually, this results in revenge, and then we see hit for hit, and entire families go 6 feet under. However, Duck's mama never wanted that, and even asked for friends and family not to retaliate after her boy was shot. Now, Duck definitely had his affiliations, but can you blame him? When you out on these streets, stuff gonna happen, and it's kinda hard to keep a clean slate. When Duck went down, we all felt it was because of that diss track Dead Bees when he was dissing all of the black disciples. After all, his elder brother Jermaine, aka FBG Brick, also went down for similar reasons back in 2017. No wonder their mama had enough. Seeing two sons lost due to senseless violence is just sad. Interestingly, however, when Duck went down, people from his neighborhood allegedly started coming out and asking for witness protection programs and other securities to bring peace to the area. How this tied in was unknown at the time, and the mystery was gradually unraveled. In 2022, we saw 5 suspects come up on the wanted list, all members of the Black Disciples O-Block faction. These guys already had beef with FBG that held territory just a couple blocks away, and we all thought that it was just a coincidence of regular gang feuds. Uncertainties regarding Duck's affiliation also changed into confirmations, and we were all sure that the reason bruh got hit was because of that. C-Murder, Kenny Mac, Los, C-Thang, and Moowop were the men charged with taking out FBG Duck.
5 alleged gang members are now charged with the Chicago rapper FBG Duck, and those charges are only the beginning.
In addition to the homicide charges, these dudes were also charged with racketeering and unlawful possession of firearms. Things seemed ever so untidy, but we all had a hint of what was up.
Convicted suspects are men between the ages of 24 and 34. All 6 were convicted of conspiracy to commit and the aid of racketeering. 5 of them were also convicted of using a gun when Weekly.
However, just as the trial started, the judge gave the dates for over a year later, scheduled for October 2023. It was announced that this was definitely going to be a long trial, even if the homicide appeared clear as day. Now, this should have been enough for everybody to understand that there was something much bigger going on in the background. Adding to this mystery, the FBI also was commenting on the case, and in 2021, they had released statements that denounced violence in connection to the drill scene in Chicago. Agents and representatives claimed that the situation was dire enough already, and it was evident from the content being posted online that the perpetrators of violence were still going to talk down on the ops on social media. While this does seem somewhat true, a lot of people don't buy this, and many even talk about how the FBI is trying to cover something up or is only concerned because the violence is now spreading to the more affluent neighborhoods. Whatever the case might be, scenes on the streets of Chicago were definitely bad, and we've seen enough examples of drill rap perpetuating violence. None of this in any way justifies the assassination of Duck.
Anyone who is involved in bring somebody else, okay, which is what is alleged in the indictment here, that is a critical member of that particular gang or enterprise. And so in that sense, this is a significant charge.
Now, with things going on in full throttle since October, we got the latest bit of news that just recently happened in 2024. This comes after the inclusion of Ralph Turpin as the sixth suspect in the case back in April 2023. Nicknamed Teezy, similar charges were brought up against Turpin after he was also discovered to be a homie for the O Block faction of the Black Disciples.
Ralph Turpin is charged in the of Carlton Weekly, also known as FBG Duck.
The FBI created a 45-page report to document the homicide and all the findings, having towed away a car that was used by the hitters. The report detailed the events of the day, providing information on all 6 of the hitters and their actions. Sometime before Duck was shot, the 6 men were seen rushing down staircases in separate buildings and sitting in a Ford Fusion and a Chrysler 300. Each of these cars were seen racing towards the area where FBG Duck was on the Gold Coast to get a present for his kid. In footage retrieved from the Gold Coast area where the storefront was, the shooters can clearly be seen getting out of the same Ford Fusion and Chrysler 300, busting that Duck and rushing away. If you think this is too much to be a coincidence, there's more to the story. An informant told the police that the Black Disciples had put a $50,000 bounty on FBG Duck's head and had increased it to $100,000. Now, these 6 ruffians were clearly quite possibly members of the Black Disciple, but who would have known that they might have did it for a bounty rather than get back at Duck for dissing their fallen homies? Either way, the entire thing was just messed up.
Like FBG Duck, you know, any thoughts on him? Like, did you know him?
Who, Duck?
Did you know him before? Like everything?
Duck like that. I don't know. On game. All I know, don't say that shit about Troy or rest in peace. Duck.
Once initiated, the trial did not end up being too long, even though the judge said it would be. I mean, the proceedings began officially in October, and we already received a verdict in January of this year. The 6th accused are charged with homicide, racketeering, and unlawful possession of firearms, basically all the charges that the cops had pinned against them when this all began. But that really makes us question why the trial still took a year to begin after the first 5 suspects had been caught. Duck's mama, Lashina Weekly, was strongly advocating against any retaliation, as I told you guys before. However, she went beyond to advocate against gun violence as a whole. Her Instagram racked nearly 50,000 followers since Duck passed, and she had been broadcasting all the news of her son's homicide trial. When the verdict came out, Mama Duck was seen happy, hugging family and crying with joy. She applauded the U.S. government for delivering her justice and continued her advocacy for peace and anti-gun violence. Of course, her reactions are pretty understandable, and the fact that she's holding strong is commendable given how she lost 2 of her boys to this nonsense.
And yes, justice for Duck, and it has been served. Thank you.
Bob, C-Thang, Kenny Mack, C-Murder, Los, and Teezy were all found guilty of homicide and aid of racketeering and conspiring to smoke Duck. Muwop, C-Thang, Kenny Mack, C-Murder, and Los were also convicted of using a firearm during the commission of the homicide, but their verdicts were split. C-Murder was an alleged gunman and Kenny Mack was an alleged getaway driver. They both were found guilty of shooting Duck's girl and using a strap in the attack, but they were acquitted on the same charges relating to the popping of the other victim. C-Thang was another alleged hitter in the case, but wasn't convicted of any charges related to the 2 victims who survived. Prosecutors had believed that Teezy set everything in motion when he saw Duck in the Gold Coast. Allegedly, he made a phone call and the homies pulled up. As the trial proceeded, it turned into a bit of a circus in the courtroom as Trench's News let the trial highlights play out on YouTube, trying to get his clout. The sentencing for these fellas is happening around August and September, which is a little way away, and it would certainly feel like an eternity for them. Nevertheless, that's how the game go. With the recent release of the alleged footage of the incident, the internet and the streets have been talking for real. It's crazy how after the trial they released the footage and now we are stuck with more questions than answers. Questions like, how do we really know who was in the video? Why did it take so long for the footage to be released? And why did the cops follow the assailants all the way into O Block and then leave? Was he chasing or escorting? Currently, Mama Duck has seen some victory. Her son's alleged assassins are going to serve their sentence. Rappers are taking a turn in the right direction and condemning violence in the city, and her campaign is against gun violence, and it's picking up speed. Of course, none of this is going to get her son back, but it will definitely help in preventing many others from losing theirs. Let's hope things keep moving in the right direction for these folks. In any case, we'll keep you updated. Rest in peace to all the real ones who lost their lives to this senseless violence once again. Stay smart, stay alert, and stay real. I'm out, y'all.